Let's check in on what's going on in China and their economy, specifically with real estate, because it looks like this is the end of China's once mightiest property firm. China Evergrande, once the symbol of China's booming real estate market, has been delisted from the Hong Kong stock exchange. According to the New York Times, its downfall marks the collapse of what was once the world's most indebted developer, owing more than $300 billion. Evergrande's collapse began in 2021 and has left behind 1,300 unfinished projects in more than 280 cities. Hundreds of thousands of home buyers are still waiting for their apartments, while creditors worldwide remain in line to be repaid. Liquidators at Alvarez and Marsal, the firm that dismantled Lehman Brothers, are struggling to reclaim assets from Evergrande's sprawling web of subsidiaries. So far, they've recovered just $255 million out of $45 billion owed in Hong Kong. The hunt has turned personal. Courts are targeting billions in assets tied to Evergrande's founder, Hu Kaiyan, his wife, and former executives, including luxury properties in California. As one court filing put it, the chances of creditors seeing meaningful repayment are in serious doubt. Okay, so what's the bottom line? Evergrande has gone kaput. And people need to realize, here in the United States, we're always glorifying China. Oh, they can make a great airport in 60 days. Oh, they can make a highway go up in 10 days. Yeah, but they waste a lot of money on boondoggles, because if someone said, oh, the dear leader wants us to build a city with 10 billion apartments, they just go off and do it regardless of whether there's any actual need. That's the problem with authoritarian regimes, is they waste a lot of money doing stupid stuff all the time. Let's dig a little deeper. Now, I was in China about 5 years ago, and it did strike me, even then, going from one big city to another on their bullet trains, and they're fantastic, how many gigantic cities there were empty. Like, who builds all this stuff? Now, this is an issue that's near and dear to my heart, because I happen to think that collectively, not just China, not just the US, but all over the world, there is insanity when it comes to the concept of real estate. So many people believe, really, you buy real estate, you're guaranteed to be rich. You buy a home, you're set for life. No, no, no. People lose money every day in real estate. Maybe not 45 billion like this, but whether you're in the United States, whether you're in Europe, whether you're in China, people lose money. Individual investors, home builders, construction companies. There is a sense that real estate is somehow a risk-free business. I mean, this is what got us the whole great financial crisis back in 2008. This idea that, oh, real estate's always a great investment. Home prices can always go up. How did that work out? Worst recession since the Great Depression. And we see it again and again and again. Look, I don't want to be a hypocrite here. I did just buy a home recently, but I didn't do it as an investment. In fact, I don't think I'll ever recoup what I'm putting into this house. I bought it because I viewed it as an expense, because I want to live in this particular type of home. And we as a species need to go over this idea that somehow you deserve to be rich, or in fact make any money, just because you own a piece of dirt with sand and rock and wood on top. That's what a house is, or an apartment building is. I don't begrudge anyone trying to make money off of being a home builder or apartment complex builder. But this idea that it's can't miss and the government needs to give you money, as happened in China, and that it's somehow risk-free, absolute nonsense. Because here's the thing, we human beings, we're all liars. We all lie to ourselves. We all conveniently forget facts that don't make us look good. And everyone talks about that real estate deal where, oh, I bought it for $1 million. I sold it for $2 million and 100% return on my investment. Yeah, but it took you 20 years. You would have made a bigger investment. You would have made a bigger return on investment just putting your money in an index fund and getting the compound interest. But no one ever looks at it that way. So I'm urging, the reason I point this out to you is I want you to really be careful when it comes to any of your own money you invest in real estate. Because people don't go to cocktail parties and say, yeah, I bought this rental apartment for $500,000 and I sold it for $400,000 and I put a lot. No one ever goes and brags about that. Everyone likes to brag about what a great real estate mogul they are. And I'm telling you, it's not true. Have there been people who made money in real estate? Yes. It's especially helpful in my own observation. People who who like to play fast and loose with their taxes love real estate because there's so many ways of dodging the tax man. And many of them legal, a lot of them very questionable. If you want more information on that, I would urge you to read any full-length biography of the current president of the United States, given his former background. So what's the real message here? As I mentioned at the beginning of this segment, we in the United States, especially these days, often glorify authoritarian rulers. Now, it takes us 3 years to build an airport. They can do it in 30 days. Yeah, authoritarian regimes, command top-down regimes can just order people to start pouring concrete and making things happen.
I'm not here rubbing my face into the investors of Evergrande and say, ha, 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 ha. But I do want all of us to reflect on really two things, two assumptions that I think need to be questioned if you want to be a successful person and more successful in your own personal investment life, which is scrutinize anything anyone says as it relates to real estate. Everyone always, when they're factoring in their profits, everyone forgets about taxes, maintenance, upkeep, the depreciation, headaches, toilets breaking, unexpected time when you can't rent a place if it's that kind of a property. Real estate can be a great way to make a fortune. You know what? It can also be a great way to lose a fortune. Real estate can be a great way to become a millionaire if you start off a billionaire. Just ask the folks at Evergrande. The other big assumption I want people to really question is this idea that because an economy is headed by an authoritarian, it's inherently more efficient. Yes, China is doing a lot of efficient things when it comes to certain infrastructure, great trains, great roads, at least in the big cities, clean streets, at least in the big cities. But it also is massively, massively wasteful because it doesn't have the market feedback mechanism. The United States has a lot of flaws, and it's certainly not perfect. Western Europe has a lot of flaws, not perfect, but we do have this constant feedback mechanism, this constant feedback loop, whereby actual customers, the marketplace, sends signals saying, yes, we want this. No, we don't want that. Yes, there's more need for this. No, nobody needs another city with 50,000 empty apartment buildings. Those are good market signals that traditional capitalism, and we no longer really have a traditional capitalistic free market system in the United States, at least as of the last 8 months. But traditionally, we had that kind of a market system that did a good job of giving feedback on where to allocate resources in a society. Were there occasional bubbles? Absolutely. Is there occasional froth and excess? Yes. But this Evergrande thing has been a huge black eye for China and its leadership and its government and its economy, because it does show that once somebody gets an idea in their head, as long as they persuade one guy at the top, they can get as much money as they want. The green light to go, there's no red light, the spigot of money just comes on. And nobody ever stops to ask, does the market really need this? The answer in many cases is no. Is there more need for housing in the world? Sure. But let's face it, whether you're in China, whether you're in the United States, everyone wants to go for that top 10% slice because the plot of land's about the same. The cost of the workers is the same. Everyone wants to go for that top high-end luxury market. And at some point, the math doesn't add up. You can't have everyone in the world going after the top 10%. We'll implode at some point.